Greetings once again and welcome to TFT Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with Oberon and Banshee. This is me, Oberon, with my weekly show, The Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges, a weekly tarot and astrological related reading where I give the emotional ups and downs for the signs of the zodiac as they're arranged by their elemental association. To start off, we give us a collective reading for all, and I want to tell everybody, if you're new here, that I picked Fridays for this forecast because Friday typically is the day of Venus, so that's the strong emotional pull. I use a lot of Egyptian style decks and themery because Hathor is more or less the Egyptian version or corollary to Venus or Aphrodite. So just to give you the heads up on that if you've ever wondered, I've already went ahead and pulled our collective card of the day, and that's from the Isis Tarot, which is not really a tarot, it's more of an oracle kind of deck. So the card I pulled was number 18, the Sloop, which is like a boat, right? A sloop. And I'm going to go ahead and read the meaning of that. Peace and quiet after a nerve-wracking period. A journey over water, clairvoyance, work and experiments with the unconscious, for example, dreams. A given task is carried out. All right then. So that was our collective reading for all. So now we're going to go ahead and start. And as I mentioned before, we do the astrological signs related by their elemental association. So we're going to start off with the air signs. And air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And we give all signs a focus card, a word of the week, as I sometimes call that. And that's this one from another Egyptian themed deck, the Aegyptos Tarot. They're all numbered sequentially 1 through 78. This is number 28, uncertainty. So in thought of the emotional realms, and it looks to me like there's a lot of questions here. There's a lot of ideas that we're not sure about. We're uncertain in our emotional matters this week. Let this be a guide to the air signs that maybe they need to look at things cautiously and maybe with the idea that there could always be a little bit more than what seems to be going on. So I'm going to go ahead now and do the rest of the reading. And I'm using the Clive Barrett Ancient Egypt Tarot. And usually when I record this, there's somebody out there on the grounds doing the lawnmower cutting. I hear them a little bit in the background, so I'm probably going to have to use one of my filters to see if I can screen that out, that background noise. Okay then, so let's get on with the reading. And our first card shows us what air signs can expect in terms of emotional happiness, pleasure, that kind of thing. And hopefully, right? And that's the Four of Discs reversed. And I think that maybe this draws the situation that air signs are going to feel like they really want to be generous, especially in terms of their emotions, especially in terms of how we might use the material world to show that that pleasure. So maybe this is the time for air signs to consider giving little gifts of love or friendship to people, or in some ways being more generous with their emotional content and how it might relate to the idea of, taking somebody out for dinner if appropriate, or buying somebody an ice cream sundae, that kind of thing to show you care. So that kind of thing. All right then, so then what will challenge our air signs this week? And we have the Fool, and it's upright, so that's nice. And so the challenge, I believe, is that perhaps, and maybe there's a relationship here, perhaps air signs are moving into a new adventure from an emotional point of view. Maybe some of the air signs are looking at starting new relationships, joining new clubs, joining new ventures, things like that. And so there's a little bit of a sense of adventure here, maybe with just that challenge of the idea that you don't really know what's out there until you take that first step forward. And so to some degree that coincides with uncertainty, wouldn't you think? So just, be careful. Keep one foot on the cliff near the dog. That is our human instinct as you venture forth. So then finally, what is affecting those around us that we care about? The emotional content of our lovers, spouses, children, parents, co-workers, neighbors, etc. And we have the King of Swords reversed. King of Swords reversed. So the indication here is that some of our fondest friends or people that we care about maybe are flailing a little bit. They're maybe being harsh, judgmental with some people, with other friends, with us maybe. It may be that they're not sure how they want to apply their better instincts of wisdom and good judgment here. So you may have to watch out for that. Maybe that's providing some sense of that uncertainty we saw there. So that's a very interesting week. We have uncertainty, and it seems to indicate that although there are things that make us happy to shower some attention or some, little rewards or gifts to friends, we're also thinking about extending ourselves forward into new realms of friendship or emotionality. And those around us maybe are possibly being overly judgmental of either this or other concerns that are related to that. So it's kind of an interesting week. Uncertainty is indeed a good key word for the air signs this week. So we're going to go back then and move on to our next. And that's fire signs. And fire signs have their focus or word of the week. 25, the Navigator. Navigator. Don't forget to watch my Sail Away Sunday with the Navigator Tarot of the Mystic Sea. Those are on Sunday mornings. To navigate would seem to suggest that we're going to be working through emotional situations where maybe we have to know exactly how we're going. Maybe there's a process of not just knowing where we're going, but when it's time to let the wind move the ship, or when it's time to ask for rowing to happen, or when it's time to drop the anchor and just sort of sit there and ponder what's going on. So this is saying, emotionally, this is a week to really sort out some things, map strategies, map methodology, that kind of thing. So now I'm going to go on with the rest of the reading. And of course, I didn't mention, but the fire signs, or did I mention, are, of course, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, our fiery friends of the fire element in the zodiac. So we saw that Navigator maybe is a good call to fire signs, who maybe are highly transformative or energized, but maybe they have to also understand, direction and procedure. All right, let's get on with the rest of the reading. And I'm not going to read that one. I'm just going to shuffle that back in there. I don't always do that. What falls to the floor comes to the door, though I know some of my fellow readers do that. All right. So what brings happiness to fire signs this week? What emotional happiness will they find? And you may have hit the jackpot to some degree. It's the Princess of Cups, which is more analogous to the Page of Cups in regular decks. So this sort of promotes the idea of a poetic intuitive, youthful nature, maybe somebody who's interested in enlivening their emotions, their senses, this not just the physical senses, but maybe there's even a hint here of some of the more intuitive senses. So maybe we are feeling this thrill, we're feeling sensory about people and situations. We want to sort of have the poetry or the dance of what that all is about. It brings us happiness. Okay, so then what challenges us with this, in any of this? And it's the Five of Swords. And it could be saying that, of course, there are some heady emotional things going on for fire signs. Maybe there are people who are really fighting with each other, arguing, maybe having emotional tiffs with each other. This could be maybe more primary or less primary type relationships for the fire signs. I know maybe it doesn't match with that Princess of Cups, so maybe it's just saying your intuition is needed to understand some of that too this week, and that maybe that's, you know, helpful to you. But for that challenge though, you may really be looking at trying to figure out how you can promote more ease instead of dis-ease with the emotionality of those around you who feel really conflicted at this time. So then finally, we're looking at how others really are affected by this. And it's another princess, so that's another page. It's the Princess of Swords, like the Page of Swords. And this one really even talks more to that idea about a dance, because there's a sense of being graceful, understanding others. And this is really talking about those people around you that maybe they're really being asked now to understand how they can attune themselves to more delicate or tactful way of asserting their own wills, their own emotions in regard. So let's sum this up again. We had the Navigator. So fire signs are maybe cautioned to really understand there's some map plotting going on in your emotional universe. You have to really kind of figure out exactly where you're going and how you're going to get there. What makes you happy though is the Page of Cups. So you feel like emotionally, you're really enlivened to sense, to poetry, to your intuition, and so it's giving you all of those abilities and making you feel happy about them. But your challenge, of course, is trying to figure out where you can halt the dis-ease or the fights or the strifes that are around you emotionally or otherwise. You might have to figure out where you can be a peacemaker. It does seem to me like some of the people around you are your allies, because others around you feel called to be graceful, tactful, diplomatic. So it's not a bad week. Maybe navigation always invites a good co-pilot. So that's what I have for the fire signs. And we're going to move on now to the water signs. And water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And their word of the week is this arcana, number 69, the unforeseen. And look, there's our little friend Scorpio there, you know, telling the other water signs, you know, it's okay to come out and swim around too, I suppose. So I'd say that in the terms of emotionality, there's some mysterious things going on. There are things that are unforeseen that are going to happen, and maybe once they happen, you understand them, but you're not going to really probably understand them until they do happen. So there are mysteries, there are hidden things going on. The scorpionic or emotional, empathy-related mind of Cancers or Pisces is probably perceiving these things and not quite sure what they mean, but once you kind of glom onto it, you'll know what it means and what you should do. So let's get on with the rest of that reading then. One more, refill. So water signs, this one is for you. What will bring you emotional happiness, contentment this week? What are the things that cause happiness? And it's the Four of Wands. Wow, that's a bingo card too, in a way. Four of Wands almost always suggests a very happy occasion. A lot of people liken it to a wedding or a ceremony, a public event where people are really drawn to observe, commitments or displays of love or affection. So it could fit in with several different ideas there, but I'm suggesting, of course, that the water signs, maybe they're not necessarily all going to these events, but they're feeling this about something in their own lives that affects them deeply. So it could be your own strong commitments with those you love, your most primary relationships. It could be talking maybe secondarily about getting together with friends who are very close, but maybe not that primary relationship, and maybe there's something big going on with that. Maybe we're still in the summer season, we're moving towards picnics or events where we can gather and celebrate good times. So I'm just going to say that. So then what is challenging to the water signs? And it's the reverse Ten of Swords, which is not that great. This is possibly, well, okay, I'm sorry, I take that back. To me, the Ten of Swords reversed is actually a better way at times to look at this card. I mean, I think it does represent the idea that there were some things emotionally that were really challenging, and that you will probably be able to find that ability to defeat them. So, I mean, this is a projection for the week ahead, and it is your challenge. Your challenge is to basically reverse some really strong, contrary emotional type forces. I mean, maybe, as a scenario, maybe there's a big fight going on with people. I mean, we saw that a little bit with the Five of Swords in the previous reading. Maybe, this is a reflection of that there's just, there's a full moon somewhere in this week and things like that. So it could very well be that there's some big emotional duress, anxiety, energy, people that just don't like you. And you may have to be challenged by trying to reverse that, trying to fight against that. I think it's mostly looks like you will do that, but water signs, why do we have to have this? I mean, if there are more peaceful ways, maybe this falls into the realm of the unforeseen. This is really something you could not avoid, and it came down to you. So then finally, what will be the effects on others, or how will others be concerned on the emotional viewpoint of people you know or care about strongly? And it's the Hermit reversed. And it almost feels like maybe this whole drama that could be going on is going to make some people kind of come out of their caves a little bit. So you may feel that people around you who have been sort of holding back words they wanted to say. I mean, I don't know if that's connected. Maybe that's why that's happening, is because somebody has finally decided to say certain things, and now there's challenges going on where a response of some sort is necessary. And it's kind of funny too, because a lot of times people say, oh, well, certain things happen at weddings. People get into fights at weddings. I've been in a fight at a wedding. It wasn't my fight, but I ended up getting in it. So it does happen. And so, of course, we saw that earlier. So expect something unforeseen, water signs. And I don't know if this is just magnified because of that full moon energy. I believe it's in the next couple of days. But it kind of looks like you got to really pay attention. You got to really not fly off of the handle. You have to really understand the force and power you do wield, the abilities you do have, and be ready for those who maybe are coming back into the fray or coming out of the woodwork. They may have wisdom to impart, but more likely they may just be there to say something, and you're going to have to take that too and figure out what to do with it. So that's what I have for the water signs. And now we're going to move on to the earth signs. Earth signs, you are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And you have Arcana 13, also known as death, or in this deck, immortality. It often represents major changes. So I'm thinking from the earth sign point of view, our emotional realms are going to have some really big changes going on. We may be looking at serious status quo changes. Maybe we're seeing somebody we really care about, not necessarily our primary relationship, but somebody that's important to us. Maybe they're moving. Maybe they're starting a new life somehow, a big change that more or less takes them a little bit away from us, certainly emotionally, if not also, human distance. So there could be a number of big things going on for the earth signs. Let's get to the rest of the reading. All right. Earth signs. What gives you emotional happiness this week? What makes you feel better? What is a good thing happening for you? You have the reversed Ace of Swords. It may be that a certain project needs to be altered. Maybe it was a quest in terms of advancing ourselves with a friendship, with a situation that involved friends, a group project of some sort, a group undertaking of some sort. Maybe from the emotional point of view, we realize that not all the parts fit together well, didn't quite click, and so we realize that, of course, we might have to make some changes. Maybe we have to just delay it and rework it. But I think it is really about friendly associations of some sort, friendly undertakings. These may not absolutely be your best buds, but they may be people that you have a strong connection to. And you may have to just really, go into the work, because you're going to have, some enjoyment out of doing that work of reworking the situation and finding out how to make all the pieces fit better. And maybe for you, this causes you to enjoy that association. So I'm not saying give up on that. I'm just saying be ready for change and appreciate change, earth signs. So then what is the actual challenge for the week? What will challenge you? And it's the Ten of Wands reversed. So the Ten of Wands reversed says that the challenge, I believe, is freeing yourself from certain obligations, especially as they may impart to a layer of friendship. I don't know that these are deeply embedded in terms of emotional relationships, like a primary love relationship, or other people who you have strong loving feelings for, other lovers you might have if you're poly, or, people that close to you that you can say you love them dearly. This may be people who are a little bit more in the grand round of circles. They're close circles, but I get the feeling like there's obligations here you need to kind of remove yourself from, earth signs, or you need to understand what they are in order to remove them. Maybe some of these are in fraternal associations. It's the wand, so I could sort of see that. But these are things that will really need your attention in this week ahead. You may just find that some of them are truly oppressive and you need to cast them off. Now, finally, what will concern others in your emotional realms and the spheres of life around you? And it's our nether princess, which is a page, the Princess of Discs, and of course that would be like the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Coins, or Stone Circles, or Sacred Circles in some decks. So it's the earth element for the earth signs. The Page of Pentacles, to me, all of the pages sort of represent a sense of focus towards that principle. And so in the earth signs case, it's really focusing towards, to some degree, acquisition, but it could also be the acquisition of emotional experiences or the friendships that create those. It could be the acquisition of knowledge too. I sort of feel knowledge aspects strongly with the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Discs. So I'm thinking that those around you who maybe are younger persons that are maybe like this, they're actually in a process of learning and understanding and relating to the emotional relationships with you and possibly with others. And so I think this is mostly a good thing. I think that maybe you're finding that some of the bonds you have created with younger people than yourselves, especially if we are talking about maybe young adults and or people in their 20s, these are going to pay off perhaps in the week ahead. You're going to find common ground. So when I review all that, I say mostly it's just change. And maybe some of these perspectives are in fact that you're gravitating towards people who need you, respect you, and just happen to be a little bit younger or younger in mind than you. You're also learning too that your challenges this week really are reviewing what oppresses you, what holds you back, especially if it's in emotional commitments or obligations, especially if it comes through clubs or fraternal organizations or groups you're in. You may want to be considering how you can move away from that. And then, of course, what does make you happy, I believe, really is the idea that you know you have to rework your project, and that maybe it's also, again, with another level of friends, but it's something that really brings pleasure to you because you know there's something exciting in there, and that maybe it's also uplifting emotionally to some of those people as well. So that's pretty much what I had for the emotional outlooks this week. And at this time, I want to mention to watch some of our other shows. Watch my wife and partner here at TFT, Banshees Material Matters, on Sundays at 10 a.m. Both her and I tend to lurk or type away in the chat room. So if you drop in, we will explain aspects of the reading or in otherwise share some good cheer. Don't forget, we also have Goth Tarot. That's my show. It's a short show on Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. So check that out too. It's just about 10 minutes and it gives you shadow work, shadow issues to consider, things like that. And of course, our regular live streams, which are on Thursdays and Sundays. I don't have that message here. There we go. Right there. You can see that Sundays from 2 to 4 p.m., Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. We're also doing happy hour. Happy hour is going to be later this morning. This is Friday. Happy hour is going to be later this morning. Actually, this afternoon, correction, at 3 p.m. So check that out. It's 1 hour, 1 card per person. Just a happy, positive message for everyone. So once again, this is Oberon for TFT, Tarot for Today, my emotional exchanges. Thanks for coming. Please like, subscribe, share, etc. And I hopefully will see you soon. Bye-bye.